Episode 3 is dropping in just a week, and we've got a ton of leaks, Easter eggs, plot events, and so on. In this video, we'll break down everything surrounding Episode 3, and I want to kick things off with a super interesting game. When you head over to the Wacky Watch website, you'll find a mini-game called The Mystery of Mildenhall Manor, which starts with the following text. You enter inside the old, spooky, abandoned mansion. And gadzooks, your spooked levels are off the charts. Cobwebs, creepy crawlies, and royalty-free Halloween sounds that seem to surround you in every direction. Looking around the room, you see a dumbwaiter to your left. Thing hasn't seen service in decades, probably. And to your right is a rickety, busted-up old ladder leading up to an open hatch. But be warned, from the open hatch you hear echoing down from above. How freaky. Suddenly you hear the shambling of something coming towards you from down the hall. What could that be? My bet's on it's a green ghoul. Maybe Caine can help you out of this horrifying predicament. How do you proceed? And right here we get a feel for the tone of the new episode. If you choose Old Ladder or Call Caine, the game ends, and you're sent back to the starting point. So, we go with Dumbwaiter. In this game, there's always only one correct option, and the rest send you back to the beginning. After that, we find out that the object we need is unavailable. You approach the dumbwaiter and try to open it, but zoinks, it's locked. Now you feel like a dummy. Idiot. I guess I could have mentioned that detail before, but then where's the mystery in that? Am I right? Looking back at the open hatch, a strange rabbit-like silhouette appears to be looking down on you. Its laughing turned to taunting and name-calling. This isn't scary. This is just straight-up bullying now. But the monster from down the hall seems to be getting closer. I think it just tripped down some stairs so you have some time, but you better act fast. What should you do now? Cry and Abstract don't seem trustworthy, so we go with Climb Ladder and head towards something strange. We see Jax, who's trying to scare us. But maybe that's not really Jax. Kinger pulls out a large shotgun and hands it to you for protection. Does he always have that on him, or best not think about it right now? You hastily climb up the ladder into the open hatch. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. Just another empty room full of dust, cobwebs, and a demon named Freddy, dancing in the corner of the room. All seems normal. Bah! Gadzooks! A purple ghoul appears from the shadows and jump scares you. Oh wait, that's no ghoul. That's just your best friend Jax. Oh, that Jax. Always up to his tricks and messing with folks. What a character. What a guy. Wait, why are you going for the shotgun? We confidently choose gun, and the next events are a total mystery to us. But maybe Jax will finally face the music for everything he did in the pilot and second episodes. Well, you've really done it this time, haven't you? I know Jax can be a bit much, but that was a bit extreme, dude. Caine calls you into a therapy session. He wants to jam all of his fingers deep in your brain a bit and figure out exactly what's going on in that sick little noggin of yours. Might hurt a bit, but you'll be fine. But before all that fun, he asks you, how are you enjoying his adventure so far? I know it's a tough choice, but do you love it or really love it? Choose wisely. What's going to happen to Jax in the new episode is making me more and more anxious. And since we see a conversation between Caine and Zooble, it seems likely that we need to choose Say Something Very Rude, which lands us with Pomni's head hanging like a trophy in someone's room. Wow, that was a terrible choice. Congratulations, you lose. For that, here is your special reward. Your head mounted forever in the halls of the mansion. Think of it this way, now that you're mounted up on the wall for eternity, that should give more than enough time to reconsider and learn to love Caine's adventures. Pomni. Based on this minigame, we've figured out that Jax is going to find himself in a pretty tough spot because of his pranks. Pomni will once again be rude to Caine, and he'll punish her. Of course, it won't be anything as drastic as a severed head, but it'll likely be something unpleasant. In this episode, Pomni will be the character that millions of fans sympathize with, especially since she just found hope for a normal existence in the digital circus, only to have Caine immediately send her to a horrible place where her mental state will be even worse than it was in the pilot episode. Now it's time to chat with you about everything else. It's going to get really heated.
Coming soon on an all-new episode of the amazing digital circus. Our friends find themselves in the decrepit manor of
In addition to that, we were shown the announcement of episode 3, in which I noticed some interesting details. From the announcement, we learned that Zooble still didn't want to go on a new adventure.
Except me. I'm not going on a stupid haunted house adventure.
And we also got official confirmation that Pomni and Kinger will act together in the new episode.
Ooh, look! I team up with Pomni in this adventure! That should be fun!
I also like the style in which the announcement was made, and it already conveys the whole atmosphere of the episode, and the lost eye of Kinger is the cherry on the cake of the madness that will be going on in 2 weeks. But there's plenty of other terrifying stuff in there besides that. And also I noticed reference of some leaks, like Kinger's shotgun or human hand. Write in the comments what reference I didn't mention. I'm curious if you noticed it. However, apart from the announcement, we've gotten enough leaks lately that will reveal the secret of the new episode even more. You make your way up the steps of a mysterious mansion. Glitch have shown us another new teaser which finally confirmed that the new episode will take place in a mysterious mansion. In the new leak, we see Pomni looking cautiously at the doors of the mansion. And just like in one of the previous leaks, Pomni has a lantern in her hand which helps her not to go crazy in this creepy place. And even though we see a similar scene in the previous leak, it refers us to a very different room of the mansion, which I'll tell you about today. I found it strange why Pomni is standing alone in this teaser, and in the other one together with Kinger. I think that as in all previous adventures, they will split into 2 groups, and just Pomni and Kinger will be in the same group. And since Goose has already revealed that the new episode will not only be about Zooble, but also about Kinger, we will have 2 completely different stories in one episode, and I have a guess that Zooble's group may stay in the digital circus territory, as it was on this leak. But more likely, this is just another quarrel between Caine and Zooble over not participating in the adventure. Back to the Pomni and Kinger pairing. As I said, Pomni is standing alone near the entrance, which means that the others are already inside, and this strange leak with the lantern confirms it. At first glance, it may seem that there is nothing particularly interesting in this leak, until we change some settings and notice 2 eyes that are hiding behind the lantern. If you look closely, it's easy to see that it's Kinger, and most likely Pomni was in some room where the Chess King was hiding. I also visited the slightly weird site Wacky Watch, where Glitch publishes weird leaks like Pomni sleeping, or the last seconds of Gummy Goo, and this time we saw 2 characters looking for something in total darkness, and even the smallest digital circus fan would guess it's Kinger and Pomni. Most likely the original sequence was as follows. Pomni entered the mansion, then found the secret room, and after switching on the lantern, saw Kinger, with whom she continued her adventure. Think back to February 2024, when we were shown a preview of the first season of the amazing digital circus, because there are 4 more leaks of episode 3 waiting for us. If the photo of Martha Mildenhall just introduces us to the character and most likely her room, and the leaked tape recorder shows us the main villain of the episode, the photo of the pet hides one interesting detail. Behind him, there are 3 doors that lead to new rooms, and most likely this location is the first thing that Pomni will see after entering the mysterious mansion, as evidenced by the fact that above the seal, we see a source of light somewhere on the ceiling, and the trajectory of the rays will coincide with what we see on this leak. But most of all, we are interested in the rightmost door, which is slightly ajar, and judging by the darkness we see, this is the room where Pomni will enter and meet Kinger. In the same video, we were shown another fragment in which we were shown Kinger with a shotgun in his hands, some huge door, and something that caused Kinger's aggression. There have been many theories and mysteries about it. Some seriously thought it was Pomni. I speculated that it was the tape recorder, which is the main villain, and so Kinger just destroys it. But if you look closely, it's obvious that this object is quite large. And just recently we were told the truth about what it is. Let's remember one of the leaks that is really scary. Pomni and Kinger are in some room, and I'm sure it's no longer the same dark room. They see something really creepy. There's a huge, disgusting human hand reaching out to them that's ready to kill them at that very moment. And as we remember from the second episode, you can always find a gun somewhere, as it was with Jax and Shotgun. In episode 3, Goose decided to add Shotgun again, but its happy owner was Kinger. Perhaps he shot off one of Fingers so he could save the lives of 2 characters. But do not immediately cancel the other versions, because it is quite possible that it is Tape Recorder or a new unnamed villain. Gooseworx also showed a post on Tumblr in which she said that the new episode will still be her favorite, but it won't be as dark as most fans think. On October 4th, we're getting a brand new episode, and based on what we've seen in the trailer, it's going to be pure madness. From the second episode, we know that each new one takes place the next day in the digital circus, which means episode 3 will likely kick off the same way as the second, with Pomni waking up and everyone gathering together. After that, Caine's probably going to announce that they're off on another adventure, and this time it's called The Mystery of Mildenhall Manor.
Our friends find themselves in the decrepit manor of the Mildenhall.
True to form, Zooble will likely sit this one out, just like in the pilot and second episode, while the rest of the crew heads off to the spooky mansion. But this time, Zooble won't go unnoticed, because Caine is about to play therapist with her. More on that later. We saw only Pomni left outside the manor while the trailer shows all 5 characters. Let's not forget how they were warmly welcomed in Candy Kingdom. But the vibe at Mildenhall Manor's gonna be a lot chillier. I'm guessing Pomni went ahead to explore the new location first, and then the others caught up with her, just like we saw in the trailer. Notice how Jax and Pomni are walking side by side? They stay close in the next scene where Jax gives us a nod to Ghostbusters. But before that, someone else shows up. Remember the ghost seal we've known about since the initial announcement? Pomni hadn't seen it before, and when she does, her eyes literally pop out of her head. After that, Jax figures out a solution to the problem. But that's only the start of the horror show. We already know from leaks that Kinger and Pomni are teamed up, and the trailer confirms it. After they split into 2 groups, Pomni and Kinger on one side, Jax, Gangle, and Ragatha on the other, we don't hear much about the trio, but our dynamic duo starts exploring the mansion's rooms. The first room sets the creepy mood for the rest of the adventure. They find a hallway leading to more rooms, but nothing seems significant until they hit a locked door that immediately grabs their attention, especially Pomni's. She tries hard to open it, and when she finally does, they enter a room filled with all kinds of strange details. While checking it out, Pomni stumbles across some freaky pictures of ghosts and missing people. The real kicker, though, are the tapes they find in one of the drawers. When Pomni picks one up, it seems like Martha Mildenhall herself might appear and say something, which totally freaks Pomni out, while Kinger's reaction is to bring up his fortress again, just like he did in the pilot. Now, let's talk about the tape recorder. It's clearly the key to unraveling the mystery of the manor. Maybe that's what Martha told them before Pomni and Kinger set off to find it. They end up in that room we saw in the leaks, and I initially thought the hand we saw would try to harm them, but after seeing it from another angle, it's just part of the creepy room's decor. Gross, but not dangerous. Once they find the room and pop the tape into the recorder, a mysterious tunnel appears, adding another layer of terror to their situation. I'm pretty sure the characters won't have a specific goal like in episode 2. This time their main task will probably be solving some mystery, but the real focus will be on the emotions and fear they experience during the ordeal. In the tunnel, they'll face a ton of terrifying stuff, and that's not even mentioning Pomni's cracked psyche or Kinger's temporarily missing eye. Before diving into the mystery of Mildenhall Manor, I have to talk about Zooble, because episode 3 will finally give us some insight into her life and mental state. In an old leak, we saw an argument between Caine and Zooble, and I thought it was just another disagreement about skipping the adventure, but it turns out to be way more complicated than that. From the pilot and second episode, we know Zooble avoids interactions with the other characters and skips out on new adventures. It seems like Kaufmo's abstraction was the turning point for her, making her realize that without real friends, it's almost impossible to survive in this crazy digital circus. Or maybe the opposite. Remember what happened to Kaufmo before he turned into the monster from the pilot? He became withdrawn, stopped interacting with others, and his room turned into something out of a psych ward, even though he used to be one of the most outgoing, positive characters who'd try to cheer everyone up with jokes.
I know we didn't always get along, like when you called me out for fake laughing at your jokes. I swear I really did think they were funny. I was just having a bit of a bad day!
Caine seems to realize that if things keep going this way, Zooble's fate might be the same. So after a few failed attempts to get her to join the adventure...
Zooble, wait! I'm testing out a new AI in this one. It should be 57 times more immersive.
He decides to hold a therapy session with her. Nobody really knows what Zooble was like before the pilot, but maybe she was cheerful and upbeat, and her behavior only recently started changing. I also think Caine saw Zooble's behavior in the second episode, and figured out she's still salvageable, deciding to take matters into his own hands to prevent another tragedy in the circus. In the first scene, we see Zooble once again refusing to participate, which, as usual, frustrates Caine. After yet another argument, Caine realizes enough is enough and instantly creates a therapist's office, leaving Zooble with no way to avoid the conversation. Her expression says it all. She's beyond shocked by what's happening. Caine makes it clear he's done tolerating Zooble's indifference, and she has no choice but to listen, whether she likes it or not. Even when Zooble tries to run away, Caine uses his admin powers to teleport her back, like she's just another NPC he created. One part of their conversation that stood out to me was when Caine learned something so shocking, his jaw literally dropped. By the end of their chat, Zooble is back to her usual moody, independent self, but something definitely went down during their talk. Goose even gave this its own storyline in episode 3, so I think the conversation went something like this. Zooble's super frustrated with everything and storms out, but then she realizes this is her chance to open up and vent about all her issues. By the end, though, something bothers her again, and she snaps back at Caine. The most interesting part will be when Zooble finally spills all her secrets. I bet we'll learn that she absolutely hates being stuck in the digital circus and can't figure out who she's supposed to be in it. She'll talk about how sad she is over all the deaths she's witnessed.
Got everything ready.
Hey, you at least want to join us for Kaufmo's funeral?
And the thought that she might be next keeps her in a constant state of panic. She's really not into being forced to join these adventures that don't interest her, and maybe that's why Caine reacted the way he did. Remember, the whole Candy Kingdom adventure in episode 2 was designed specifically for her, and from Caine's perspective, she didn't appreciate all the effort. Caine's definitely gonna lay all that out there to Zooble, and we'll finally see that legendary scene. Of course, we'll get all the juicy details when the episode drops. But before diving into the main mystery of the spooky mansion, we gotta talk about Jax, Ragatha, and Gangle, because the trailer and leaks didn't really show anything about them. Everyone remembers that Vacuum Jax was bragging about to Pomni, right? And we all know who owns the manor. What really piqued my interest is this funny little character. For the longest time, I thought it was Martha Mildenhall's pet. But what if there's more than one, and these mysterious creatures are actually her pets that have scattered around the house? That would explain why Jax grabbed the vacuum. So, throughout the episode, the three of them are probably just gonna do their own thing and hunt down these pets. Meanwhile, Kinger, who's also one of the main characters this episode, has another challenge: getting over his anxiety and finally stepping up. That's probably why he's teamed up with Pomni, who knows how to connect with the other circus folks. And judging by what we've seen so far, he sorta succeeds, but also kinda doesn't. There was a lot of speculation about who Kinger was aiming at with that shotgun, and it turns out it's Pomni. In an old promo for Season 1, we saw something that looked like Pomni's hat, and in the Episode 3 trailer, we clearly see her leg. But considering how calm and collected Kinger looks in his final scenes, it seems like he pulled through. So, what do y'all think about my take on the upcoming episode's plot? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Bye-bye, everyone.